Hi everybody. Once again, I have a new guitar. I keep having these new guitars. And this one is a Nautilus. So I've been making a lot of Nautiluses lately. And which is fine with me, I gotta say. I love the Nautilus. It's a 15-inch guitar. And it does everything. It's the all-wheel drive guitar. This one is made with Tunnel 14 redwood and Brazilian rosewood, which is also a theme you may have noticed. I love that combination. The Tunnel 14 is salvaged wood, came out of a train tunnel, and from what I understand, the tunnels were built in the 1860s and 70s. That makes them 150 years old. That's how long ago the trees were felled. At least that's pretty cool. And it's been aging in a cave that happened to have trains going through it. So if it were prosciutto, it'd probably taste really bad. But since it's wood, inside the beams that were covered with soot, diesel smoke, and before that, coal smoke, and had water running over them, probably mold. Inside of these beams, when they're cleaned, is this absolutely gorgeous, pristine wood. And these beams are so large that it's possible to cut perfectly quarter-sawn sets out of them. And I have to say that it's amongst the most beautiful top woods I've ever used. I like dark guitars, and so I love how this looks, but I also love how it sounds. Redwood isn't as strong as spruce as a general rule. And some redwood you can take and just snap it with your fingers, and it would be way too frightening to build a guitar out of it because it's too fragile. But this Tunnel 14, for the most part, is really strong. Like, it's got long grain strength that I'm not used to seeing in redwood, as well as cross grain strength. So I feel pretty confident building guitars out of it, as you may have noticed a lot of other people do too. It produces a very fast sounding guitar, very warm, and unlike some of the softer woods, cedar, and what I'm used to with redwood, produce a very fundamental guitar without a ton of overtones. And this is much more spruce-like. And I think it perhaps is because it was denatured in those caves all those years, in those tunnels all those years, that it actually changed. It's changed its physical structure to a certain extent. Anyway, it's wonderful wood. The back is also salvaged wood, and this was a beam in a barn, from what I understand, Brazilian rosewood barn. I guess, when you're living in an area of the world where Brazilian rosewood is the available timber and you got to build a barn, well, by God, you're going to use Brazilian rosewood to make a door lintel or whatever this was. Now, stories like that, you develop a relationship with suppliers or whatever, and you say, this guy's pretty honest. I appreciate what he says. But so how do you confirm something like that? The thing that made me think that this actually is for sure what it had another purpose. It had an architectural purpose, because this set had a big nail hole in it, like up here. I could tell it was a nail hole, and it had some rust surrounding it. So it at least had a piece of steel driven into it for some length of time, and it's super dark and old. Anyway, I think it's just a killer beautiful set of rosewood, and the back and sides match very nicely. Now, it's bound in ebony. It's got a head plate that was a little off cut from here, so everything all matches together. I'll play a little bit. I know, I talk far too much. Whatever. I never know what I'm going to play, so let's see. Lots and lots of sustain. Man, I love sustain. I love having it there. When I play a really dry guitar, I miss it. I realize that dry guitars have a purpose in life. And there are certain styles that are really conducive to playing dry guitars. And in fact, I'm making a Sidewinder right now, which is the size up from this, with mahogany. And I expect it to have a lot less of the reverb quality to it. So I'm really interested to hear what that is. I love the reverb just because it makes me sound better than I actually am. But that having that fullness of tone and having the notes that, you know, you stop playing them, you move your finger and you're off to the next note. But that note that you've generated is still inside the instrument, you know, that the energy of that note and that frequency still banging around inside the guitar. And especially with the resinous woods like rosewood, it bangs around in there for a little while, and it gives a length and it gives a fullness to the tone that is otherwise lost if you have a more porous wood where those that energy is getting absorbed quickly and diffused out into the wood. So I personally love that sound. Let's see. Okay, so I got a little too big for my britches there at the end, but yeah, I was just thinking, you know, because maybe you don't want a lot of sustain in a guitar where you're playing fast stuff like in bluegrass or something, but I think it works great. I mean, I think these things, I don't have any clients who are really big bluegrass players, but I don't see why not. I mean, for one thing, if you're a bluegrass player and you show up at a bluegrass festival and you have a guitar that looks like this, you're probably going to be annihilated. But I don't know if that's true. I mean, bluegrass has moved on a lot. You know, I think of bluegrass and classical music as being sort of like the most conservative of the two of the branches of guitar music that I can think of, that they aren't really open to a lot of innovation. But I think an instrument like this would kill in a bluegrass band. And for one thing, it's really loud. So if you're in there like trying to elbow your way in and you've got a mandolin and a banjo and you're just trying to be heard, this is going to do it for you. But you can also play like super like Hedges-y new age stuff on this because of that sustain and just, you know, if you Anyway, this guitar I think I'm going to take with me to, I currently own this guitar, which is, this is like the classic example of the, what is it, the Cooper? And his is it the Cooper? No, Coopers make barrels. Cobbler. The cobbler's children have no shoes. And the luthier has no guitar. So through a series of circumstances, this guitar has ended up in my possession. And I've really enjoyed owning it because I've had it since December. So I've really been able to spend some time with it aging, which I never get to see. It's like, if you just had a baby, human baby, and then you just immediately sent it off to boarding school, and you never got to see the changes that it goes through, because the first year, especially the first 6 months, but the first year of a guitar's life, there's a lot of stuff happening sound-wise. And I've had plenty of times where I've made a guitar, send it off to my customer, and then I see them a year later and I play it and I'm like, holy cow, man. Because they just open up, as the tree just kind of goes, okay, I'm not a tree anymore, I'm a guitar, and it accepts its new fate. And they start to vibrate in a more cooperative way, and they just open up. And I've gotten to have a taste of that with this instrument. That being said, I'm probably going to take this to the LaConner Guitar Festival, which I'm doing up in LaConner, Washington in May. I should have that in my head. It's either April or May. Anyway, I'll have it up there, and I'll probably sell it there. So I don't know. I have this guitar, like my experimental guitar, hanging on the hook, and that's what I get to have. So someday I'll build myself a guitar. Anyway, this guitar makes me very, very happy to play. Thank you for watching. Yet another probably too long video from Wilborn Guitars. Thanks, and have a good day.